Okay, good morning everyone. Now, okay, now as you know, you're using Inspire Science Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4. You have 4 different textbooks. This is the textbook that we are using for this lesson. Okay, this is Unit 4. It is Interactions Within the Ecosystem. This is the book which you are using for this lesson. Okay, this lesson is in the module which says Dynamic Ecosystem, and the name of the lesson is also Interactions Within the Ecosystem. It means the name of the book and the lesson that we are doing inside the book is the same, which is Interactions Within the Ecosystem. Okay, and it is there on page 86 if you have the book. And if you don't have the book, you can still go to McGraw-Hill website and you can find the ebook online. Okay. Now, what are the objectives of this lesson? The objectives of this lesson are: what is a symbiotic relationship? Okay, then you have 3 types of symbiotic relationships. You have to know what is mutualism, what is parasitism, what is commensalism. Once you know all these 3 types of symbiotic relationships, then you have to know some other relationships, which are further 3. One is what is cooperative relationship, what is a predator-prey relationship, and the last one is what is a competitive relationship. Okay, now, what does this term here mean? Interaction within ecosystem. What does this term actually mean? This is an example of an ecosystem, right? This is an ecosystem. Now, here living things are interacting with each other. Interaction means involvement or some sort of exchange of energy or food or anything. This is interaction. Now, living things are interacting with each other also, and sometimes they are interacting with the non-living components of their environment also. For example, here I see that this zebra here is drinking water, right? So zebra, which is a living thing, it is interacting with the non-living component of the ecosystem, which is the water here, right? Similarly, you have lots of interactions within the ecosystem which are between living things. This lesson will talk about those interactions. Okay, let's see. Let's see different types of interactions. Okay, now here this is some lady. She has lice in her hair. Now there is some sort of interaction between this lice here and this lady, her head here. What is this interaction? Okay, let's try to figure out what is this interaction. This lice here is sucking the blood from her head, and the lady in return, she feels some itchy feeling and she feels like itching her head all the time, right? This is the relationship between lice and this lady here. Okay, let's see some other relationships. This one here, we have a honeybee and we have a flower here. The honeybee is sucking something, a juice like thing, which is called nectar from this flower. This relationship seems positive, right? Honeybee is taking some juice from the flower and it is getting its food, I think. Okay, this is one type of relationship. Okay, this one. I think here in this interaction, these two organisms, they are fighting with each other over the food, which is here. This some animal which is dead here. Both of them, maybe they want to eat this animal. This is what I can infer from this interaction. Okay, something else. Oh, this interaction. This one, it seems like as if these two wolves, they are relaxing with each other, they are loving each other. It seems a positive interaction. Okay, next. Okay, this one. Here, I think that this cheetah here, it is trying to eat this deer. It is attacking the deer, it is going to kill it. This is also one type of interaction. So we have lots of different types of interactions. So we are going to study these different types of interactions, okay, in this lesson. Now see, in these interactions, when this cheetah is going to kill this deer here and eat it, the deer is going to get harmed. And this one, the cheetah is going to get its food here. So in different types of interactions, different results are there. Sometimes it is harmful, sometimes it is the beneficial relationship. So we are going to talk about these things. So first of all, interactions in an ecosystem can be between different species. As you saw between the cheetah and the deer, it was two different species. And you can have an interaction which is between same species also. As I showed you where wolves, they were relaxing with each other. Same species interaction, right? So relationship can be between different species. The relationship can be between same species. And the result of this interaction for one of the participant can be harmful, it can be beneficial, and sometimes the participant doesn't even care about this interaction. Okay? These are the three types of results which can come out of the interaction of any two species. Now, one thing that you have to remember here, whenever there is interaction between two different species or same species but two different living organisms, one of the participant always gets the benefit. Listen, if both of them, they are getting harmed by an interaction, they will not interact with each other. For example, in this example of a cheetah and deer, deer is fearful that it will get eaten by the cheetah. It will run away from the lion. So the participant which is feeling that there is a harm to it, it does not want the interaction. But one of the participants must get a benefit, must get an advantage out of the relationship. It should feel that I am getting a benefit. That is why the interaction will occur, right? So one of the participant always gets the benefit. The other one, sometimes it is harmed, sometimes it is getting benefited, sometimes it is neutral. Okay. Now, one of the types of the names of the interaction is called symbiosis. Symbiosis is a long-term relationship between two different species. Please focus here on the yellow highlighted part and this red part here. You have to remember it is a long-term relationship. It is not just a very short relationship. It is for a long period. Okay. And it is always between two different species. When I say different species, it means when two wolves, they are relaxing with each other, it does not fall under symbiosis because they are the same species, right? If two same species, they are fighting with each other for a piece of meat or anything that they want, any resource, it is again not symbiosis. Why? Because it is between same species. Symbiosis is only a relationship which is long term and between two different species. Now, this relationship can involve exchange of energy or food. As I said before, one of the species always gets benefited. One of them must get the benefit. Now let's start seeing different types of relationships here. For example, here this bee and the flower. What happens here is that when this bee comes on this flower, it starts sucking the juice from here, which is called nectar. This nectar is like a food for the bee, and it is sucking the nectar. Now, these pollen grains, the small round thing here, the white color and sometimes yellow color, these pollen grains, they get attached to the body of the honeybee. So as this honeybee, it moves from one flower to another flower, it drops these pollen grains to another flower. This is how flowers, they get pollinated. This is how the flowers, they reproduce. So my question here is, what do you think? Is the bee benefiting from the relationship or is the flower benefiting from the relationship? Okay, let's think about it. Bees, they are taking nectar from the flower, right? So bees are getting their food from the flower, right? So if the bee is getting food from the flower, is the bee benefiting or is it getting harmed or is it neutral? I don't care. I think that this bee, it is getting benefited because it is getting its food. Okay, on the other hand, if I want to see what is happening with the flower here, the flower gets pollinated. It gets to reproduce, right? We said that the flower gets pollinated. It is also an advantage for the flower. So I think that the flower is also benefiting. Now, under symbiosis relationship, when you have two different species interacting with each other for a long time and benefiting each other, this relationship is named as mutualism. Again, a symbiotic relationship in which two different species they benefit from each other over their long-term relationship is named as mutualism. Okay, now let's go to another different type of interaction. Now these small organisms here are called ticks. They are like parasites. Okay, they stick themselves on the skin of the dog or cat. The hair, our dogs and cats, they have this hairy body, so they are there inside those hairs, and they stick themselves on the dog or cat's body. Now once they are stuck there, they keep sucking the blood of the dog or the cat. They are sucking the blood constantly. This causes the cat or dog to become weak or sick in long term, because it is there for a long time, okay, on their body. Now, if I want to see about who is benefiting in the relationship and who is not benefiting in the relationship, let's talk about the two organisms we have here. One organism we have here is the ticks. The other species that I have here is the dog or the cat, right, on the body on which it is. Now let's see if the ticks are benefiting, or are they harmed, or they neutral. They are getting constant food supply. They are constantly getting blood to suck, right? Getting food is a big advantage. They are getting food from this relationship. So I think that these ticks here, they are getting benefited from the relationship. But the other organism, which is the dog or the cat, I don't think it is getting benefited. It is becoming sick. It is becoming weak day by day. Its blood is being sucked every day, and they are becoming sick because of it. So the other one, I think it is getting harmed. The cat or the dog, it is getting harmed. Okay, such a symbiotic relationship in which one of the organism or one of the species gets benefited and the other one gets harmed in this long-term relationship. This relationship is named as parasitism. I repeat myself. One organism, when it is benefiting from the relationship and the other species is getting harmed from this long-term relationship, such a symbiotic relationship is named as parasitism. Okay. Now let's go to another type of relationship. Now we have a shark here. This is a shark here. And we have these small remora fishes here. What happens is that this remora fish, it keeps itself close to the shark, attached to the shark all the time. And the reason for that is it gets free food from this shark. When it stays close to the shark, it gets free food from the shark. Okay? Now, because it is getting free food, it is here. But the sharks, they are not getting any benefit also, and they are not getting any harm also from this relationship. Okay? Now let's see here. This small fish, it is getting the benefit because it is getting food when it hangs around the shark. But the shark, it does not even care if there is any small remora fish around or not. So this shark is neutral, unaffected. It does not have any advantage. It does not have any harm, nothing. It is neutral. Now this type of symbiotic relationship where one of the species get benefited and the other one stays neutral in this long-term relationship, you will name it as commensalism. I repeat again, a relationship in which one of the species gets benefited and the other one is neutral. It is unaffected or it does not feel any benefit or harm. This relationship is named as commensalism. Okay. Now, there are three types of symbiotic relationships that we have just now studied. Before we go to those relationships, let's remind ourselves what is a symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic relationship is a long-term relationship and it is always between different species, right? Now, what are the three types of symbiotic relationships that we have just studied now? First one, mutualism. And in mutualism, we said both the species must get the benefit, like the honeybee and the flower. Flower gets pollinated, honeybee gets its nectar. Second, we studied is parasitism. One species is benefiting, it is happy from the relationship, and the other one is harmed. Like the one I told you that ticks living on the body of the dog or a body of a cat. And the third type of relationship that I told you is commensalism. Commensalism is when one species it is getting the benefit and the other is unaffected or neutral. Now, please remind yourself all these three types of relationship are symbiotic relationship. They are long-term relationship between different species. Also remind yourself in all three of them, one of them must always get benefit. See here, mutualism, both benefit. Parasitism, one benefits, other harmed. Commensalism, again one species benefits. So one of them is always getting the benefit. The other one, it might get harmed, it might get benefited, or it might be totally unaffected by the relationship. Now let us go to this picture here. Again, mutualism, organism 1 is happy, the organism 2 is also very, very happy, like the example of the honeybee and the flower. Relationship between ticks and dog, one is very happy, other one is very, very not happy because it is getting harmed, like the relationship between ticks and the dog. And the relationship number 3, which I told you, third symbiotic relationship type is the commensalism. One is very happy, other one does not care. Okay, other one is unaffected, it is neutral. Okay, now let's go to some other relationships. As I told you, symbiotic relationship is a long-term relationship between different species, right? But we have some short-term relationships also. Like for example, when I showed you this cheetah eating this deer, it is just going to go kill it, eat it, and then the next day it might even forget that it hunted some deer and it will go and hunt something else, right? Or you can say when you have a relationship between same species. As I said, in symbiotic relationship, the relationship is between different species. But this relationship here is between the same species. The wolves, they are relaxing with each other, right? So this relationship and this relationship, it cannot fall under the category of a symbiotic relationship. These are some other relationships. Now let's go to those other relationships and study them in detail. Okay, this is an example here. We have some ants and these ants are carrying leaves together. You must have seen in your life many times that these ants, they are going in a line together and they are on a mission together. They're carrying something somewhere or whatever, but they are always doing some work together. Now these ants, because they are carrying the leaves together, they are working together to benefit each other, right? They're working to help each other, to benefit each other. But remind yourself, this relationship is between the same species. Remind yourself that this relationship is between the same species. It is not a symbiotic relationship. Okay? Now, a relationship which is between the same species and they are working together to benefit each other, this relationship is called cooperative relationship. Again, cooperative relationship is when same species, they work together to benefit each other and benefit themselves. They are benefiting each other and themselves by working together, by cooperating with each other. They are cooperating with each other by doing some sort of work together. Okay? So this relationship is between same species. That is why it is called cooperative relationship. Now let's go to another example. This one, the cheetah and the deer, which I showed you before. What is this type of relationship called? We call this relationship as a predator and prey relationship. Who is a predator? The predator is the one that is killing or hunting other organism to eat it. And what is a prey? Prey is an organism which gets killed and which gets eaten by the predator. This relationship where an organism a relationship where an organism kills and eats another organism. This relationship is called predator-prey relationship. Okay, this relationship here is called predator-prey relationship. We have some advantages of this relationship for our ecosystem, and I want to discuss those advantages with you. Let's go to advantage number 1. We have some deer population here. We have around 6 deers here. Let's say that these deer, they have very good resources, they have good food, they have water, they have space to live, they have well resources for themselves. So what will happen to the population of these deer? They will start to increase and they will keep increasing, right? Now what happens when the predators will come? When the predators they come and they attack the prey, they are going to eat some of them, right? So what happens? It eats one of the deer, then 2, then 3, and then what happens? The predators, they prevent the prey population from growing too large for the carrying capacity. Here, as I told you before, the population of the deers was increasing, right? The population of the deer here was increasing. Who controlled this population? This predator here, it controlled the population. It starts eating some of the individual members of the population, and it controls the population from growing too much, right? So let me repeat again. Your first advantage here is that the predators, they prevent the prey population from growing too large for the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. Let's go to second advantage now. Now, we have 9 deers here, okay? Like our population, do you think at any point of life, in life, all the population is healthy? No, right? Some of us are unhealthy, some of us are weak, some are healthy. So similarly, in the deer population, let's say that some of them are weak, some of them are unhealthy, okay? Now we have 9 deers here with 7 healthy and 2 unhealthy ones. Now you have some food resource here. One of the food that deer eats is the corns. Now we have 6 corns here and we have 9 deers here. The food is less for them, right? They are 9, the food items are only 6. Now let's see how can predator help this population, okay? Now once the predator comes and it wants to eat the deers will start running away, they will start protecting themselves. Now, in this process, when they are running away and they are protecting themselves, which deer do you think is unable to help themselves? The healthy one or the weak one? Definitely the healthy one can run faster. Definitely the healthy one can show fighting spirit more. The unhealthy one or the weak ones, what will happen to them? They will get captured easily by the predator, right? Now what happens? This predator will go and attack the weak one and it will eat them. Once they are eaten, they are removed. What happens to the prey population now? The prey population is now healthy. All the sick ones, all the weak ones are removed by the predator. So what is the advantage? The advantage is that the healthy ones, they get more food because the predator has removed the unhealthy ones. Unhealthy ones gone, healthy ones get more food. The food is the same. We have still 6 corns here. But because the unhealthy ones are removed, so the resources are left only for the healthy population, right? Before it was like 9 deers eating 6 corns. Now we have 7 deers eating these 6 corns. So now each one of them gets more food, right? So this is the second advantage. Predators capture the weak population of the prey. When weak members are removed, more resources, which can be food, water, space, any resource, more resources are left for the healthy population. This keeps our prey population healthy. So this is the second advantage of the predator-prey relationship, that the predator-prey relationship keeps the prey population healthy. Okay? And the first advantage was what? That they keep them limited, the growth, the population. It does not allow the population of the prey to cross the carrying capacity. Now let's go to another type of relationship. We already discussed the predator-prey relationship. We already discussed the cooperative relationship. Cooperative, where the same species were working together for their benefit. Predator-prey, where one is the predator, it goes and kills another organism and eats that organism, which is the prey. Now let's go to another one and see this example. This is an example of wolves and raven. This wolf, it kills this organism, this animal, to eat its meat. Now soon these black birds here, which is called ravens, they will join and they want to eat the same meat at the same time. Now the wolf also wants to eat it, the ravens also want to eat the same meat. Now this relationship where two organisms, two living things, they are having a competition with each other to eat or to have the same resource at the same time. This relationship is called competitive relationship. I repeat, this relationship is called competitive relationship. When two or more organisms, they want the same resource at the same time, you call this relationship as competitive relationship. Okay? Now let's go to the next slide. Competitive relationships can be between the same species. Like for example here, we have two cheetahs here. They are fighting for the same piece of meat. Competitive, this is competitive, right? Both of them, they want the same meat at the same time. So it is a competitive relationship. There is a competition going on between them, right? So competitive relationship can be between same species and it can be between different species also. These are the animals in Africa. All of them, they want the same water at the same time. So this is also a competitive relationship because, you know, there is less water in Africa and all the animals, they want water, all different types of species, right? So again, competitive relationship is a relationship where two or more organisms, they want same resource at the same time and they are having a competition for it. Such a relationship is called competitive relationship. It can be between same species, it can be between different species as well. Now let's review what we have done. We said that a symbiotic relationship is a long-term relationship between different species, and there are three types of this relationship. By the way, this lesson review is on page number 100. After every lesson in your textbook, you have some questions. Let's discuss those questions. The first question here says that you have to summarize whatever you have done in the lesson. And this is the answer for that. The first thing that we did is that there is a relationship called symbiotic relationship. It is a long-term relationship between different species. There are three types that we studied. One, mutualism, when both species benefit. Two, parasitism, when one species benefits and the other gets harmed. Third, commensalism, when one species benefits and the other is unaffected. What was the example of mutualism that we did? It was the honeybee and the flower, right? Both of them were benefiting. Honeybee gets the benefit because it is getting nectar from the flower, and the flower got the benefit because it gets pollinated. Okay, parasitism. One species benefits and other gets harmed. I showed you two examples. One of the example which I showed you was between the dog and the tick. The tick gets stuck to the body of the dog and keeps sucking the blood of the dog. And the dog, it gets harmed because it gets sick in long run, right? This is the one type I showed. The other one that I showed you was the lice in the hair of a human being. This human being gets harmed. He feels like itching his head all the time. It is a harm for us, right? We don't want these lice in our hair. But the lice, they are getting the benefit. They want to come to our hair and suck our blood, right? So this type of relationship is called a parasitism relationship. Commensalism, when one species benefits and the other is unaffected. The example I gave you was the shark and the remora fish. That small fish, remora fish, it gets attached to the shark because it gets food from the shark. But shark is totally unaffected. It is neutral. And because it is unaffected and neutral, So that is why it is called commensalism. Okay, now here cooperative relationship is when we have same species working together to benefit themselves. Now again, what is a cooperative relationship? Example I gave you, the ants working together. When the ants, they are working together, they are collecting the leaves together, they are going together somewhere on a mission in a straight line. They're working together, right? This type of relationship is called a cooperative relationship. Then comes a predator-prey relationship. And what is a predator-prey relationship? A predator-prey relationship is a relationship where the predator eats the prey for food or energy, right? Like the example I gave you where the cheetah was eating the deer. Then the last one that we did was competitive relationship. When two or more organisms, they want the same resource at the same time. Like the wolf, it killed an animal to eat its meat. But the other ravens, the blackbirds, they came quickly and they also want to eat the same meat at the same time. Now the wolf wants to eat it, the ravens want to eat it. So there's a competition going on between them for the meat. So when two or more organisms, they want the same resource at the same time, this relationship is called competitive relationship. Now, on your page number 101, you will see this question here. It is a multiple choice question. It says that imagine you are growing bean plants. Okay. You notice that every bean plant with rhizobium, which is a nitrogen fixing bacteria, is very healthy. Again, the plant which has rhizobium bacteria in its roots is very healthy. Let's think about it. Is the plant getting benefited from rhizobium bacteria? Yes, it is healthy, right? Now let's read forward. You also notice that the plant without rhizobium in their roots seem to be doing poor. Okay, then they go and they investigate on the plants without the rhizobium bacteria. The plants which don't have the rhizobium bacteria, they are weak. They are not growing well, which means rhizobium is benefiting the plant, right? Then through research, you learn that the rhizobium gains food from the plant. Rhizobium gains food from the plant. Now, rhizobium is getting food from the plant and plant is growing healthy because of the rhizobium. This relationship, I think it is beneficial for both, right? Rhizobium is getting food, it's benefited. Plants are growing healthy, they are benefited. When both the organisms, they get benefited from a relationship, we call that relationship as a mutualism relationship. So I think the correct answer is rhizobium and the bean plant are an example of mutualism. Now let's go to the next question. Question number 3. A documentary on shark shows that a small remora fish is attached to the shark. The remora fish eats any parasites on the shark and leftover food. Which explanation best fits this type of relationship? Now, before when I was talking about this example, I said that the remora fish is attached to the shark and it is getting food. That's it. But now what I'm saying is it is removing or eating parasites from the shark's body. Here, the remora fish, it is getting food because it is eating the parasites, right? Now, this is the benefit of the remora fish. But is the shark getting the benefit or not? It is. Why? Because the parasites are being removed. The shark does not want parasites on its body. When the parasites are removed from the shark's body, it is also getting benefit. So this relationship again, shark is benefited because parasites are removed. The remora fish is benefited because it gets its food. So I think the correct answer is that this relationship is mutualism because the fish receives food and the shark is cleared of dangerous parasites. Correct? Let's go to to question number 4. This says that while fishing, you see an organism on the gills of a fish. This organism is consuming the fish blood. Infer the type of the relationship and give your reasoning. Now, there is an organism which is on the gills of the fish. This organism is consuming the fish blood. It is constantly sucking the fish blood. What type of relationship is this? Okay, this organism is taking the fish blood. It is getting benefited. But is the fish getting benefited from the relationship? Or is it getting harmed from the relationship? Or is it neutral? Someone is sucking its blood. So definitely it is getting harmed. So when fish is getting harmed and the other organism which is on its gill, it is getting benefited. One harmed, one benefited. What type of relationship is that? This is a parasitic relationship because the organism is consuming the blood of the fish. This organism is benefited, the fish is harmed, right? Let's go to the next question here. Construct an example, an explanation. Bees and flowering plants share a mutualistic relationship. Bees and flowering plants, they are sharing a mutualistic relationship. Bees, they receive the nectar they need to make honey, while the flowers are pollinated by the bees. Can you apply this pattern to predict what might happen if the bees disappear? Now, in the relationship of bees and flowering plants, if we don't have the bees, what will happen? Bees are pollinating the flowers. If there is no bees, it means that there is no more pollination done by the bees, right? And if there is no more pollination done by the bees, what will happen? Let's read here. If bees disappear, they would not be able to pollinate the flowers. If they are not able to pollinate the flower, this will have a very negative impact as the population of the flowers might decrease, right? Because no pollination, no more reproduction of the flowers, no more reproduction, so the population of the flowers might decrease, and this is a negative impact. So here we are ending our lesson. This is the end. Best of luck.